bow, 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 bow. All right, hey guys, Marcus here. It's a beautiful day for music. It's a wonderful day for sound. Mainly, I'm doing this just to get a little bit of a check slash test business of my profile and things, just to check to see if the lighting is right, if you guys can hear me, and all of those things. If you are tuning in, just leave me any comments or questions or any of that kind of stuff you have. And if you can hear me, definitely hit me up. I'm going to check my levels right now just to make sure that something is happening. I think I might be peaking a little bit. I'm going to turn it down. But just in case, let me know if something sounds weird or if you can't hear me at all and things. I'm going to resize this a little bit in my screen here and things. What up, JT Drummer? I see you, Marcus Little. What's up, baby? And things. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a nice day. I know the shutdown is really affecting a whole lot of people. And I know, at least on my end, I've been feeling it a lot. A lot of my gigs have been canceled. I've already lost thousands of dollars. But thankfully, I have a few pretty consistent streams of income and things. How are you guys doing? How are y'all holding up? Do you guys make money from playing drums? I know I do. On this particular page, I handle a lot of rudimental stuff, but most of my money comes from, as far as performing is concerned, a little delay on the stream. Oh, I see. Most of my money, though, comes from playing drum set, and I have some orchestral gigs that I'll do normally around Christmas, and a few things that I'll play as far as for orchestra gigs and things of that nature and stuff. If you guys have any questions, definitely hit me up. Josh, what's up, baby? Making solid shows for the parents and the birthday party business is kind of dead. Yeah, that's true. Hopefully, there will be a little bit of a recovery as long as everybody kind of shelters like they're supposed to for a lot of other people. For those of you who don't know, I don't just do drumming. I do media production of all types and mixing and mastering of people's songs and commercials or whatever else. There's a lot of different things, pretty much anything that has to deal with the arts and stuff. I'm pretty much in there, and I love what I do and whatnot. I'm putting together a lot of my shows as far as marching band stuff. I write a pretty good amount of front ensemble battery books, and then also sound design stuff. I do a lot of voiceover things for a lot of people, so it's just really cool to kind of have my hands in multiple pots. But I'm glad it's actually sounding okay. I think I can do a little bit something different in my settings as far as the lag on the stream. Man, I miss y'all and stuff. What's up, Brazil? We're in there, baby. And things. So two things I want to kind of hit up here first. Thing number one, for those of you who are writing for your marching bands, you're out there, designing stuff. Some things you want to consider and stuff. Razor, what's up? Paul, baby, what's up? And things. Paul's been on here. He's an OG and things. So thank you, JT Drummer. Likes my comments, likes my content and things. So for those of you who are looking at designing your shows, I know a lot of band directors have contacted me about possibly having a way shorter show because of the virus, and a lot of people possibly not even having a band camp. A lot of people really having to maybe discuss having something like a 4-minute show as opposed to a 7-minute show or an 8-minute show. So a lot of folks are really trying to figure out how they can jump in there and then get back out. A lot of people are really trying to figure out what they're going to do as far as competition season is concerned. What are they going to do about not having a band camp? So if you are writing for groups, that's definitely something for you to think about. And I would like to suggest sort of 3 things for you if you are designing and writing and things. First of all, for me, licks come last, right? I know that sounds super, super crazy, but I like to write my parts from an overall standpoint to where if I'm not a drummer, am I getting the crash and the boom, right? If something's supposed to explode, is it happening? If there's supposed to be this kind of wash, is that happening? That's what a lot of people notice, the energy standpoints when things have to be building up to a certain section. How that builds up very specifically, a lot of times really matters for drummers, but not for other people. So a lot of times it can be just as effective to play 16th notes instead of that really cool 5-lit lick with the flams. Other people really don't notice that. So as long as your energy is going to a certain climatic point, you'll be fine. Thing number 2 is your actual textures that you're writing. As long as those things are reach the same type of fabric, right? Like I can have blue jeans that cost $5 and it's still blue jeans. They're still pants. It still covers my legs. And then I can get some blue jeans that cost like $50 or whatever. I'm not exactly sure based on which countries, whatever form of money you guys have, but there's a big swing in difference. And sure, there is a difference in quality, but the difference of the actual material, as long as that's there. So when we talk about texture, I would like for maybe us to have time, maybe in a marching band season, to develop one-handed independent rolls and various different extended techniques. But if we don't have that kind of time, I can make a similar texture with having just basic 2 mallet rolls going through chords, and maybe it not be as through composed per se, but I get a similar texture. Or maybe the same thing. I like the texture of maybe having hand to hand like floppy flams for a section, but I can write the same rhythm and have a similar type part and everything, which once again kind of goes back to the actual idea of having a lick as opposed to writing the part and then adding on complexities and different percussion skill sets afterwards and whatnot. Hit me up if you guys have any questions about this or anything else. I'm just rambling along, giving some information here about people and things they want to hear. Thing number 3 that a lot of people are really asking me is if they should do anything as far as instrumentation. Like there are a lot of people who are really sort of not wanting to have battery percussion on the field. There's a lot of people who are really thinking about moving their front ensemble to the back of the field and just having the band listen back. There are 2 different kind of considerations that I have when people want to do those things. Consideration number 1 is if you move the battery off of the field, your wind players have to be very strong in their internal ability to keep time. Thing number 2 is if you put the front ensemble back there to keep time, they need to be absolutely certain with their ability to play and just be solid the whole year. Super, super important. From a listening standpoint in the front of the field, you're going to have to mic them, right? And when I say mic them, like almost everything needs to be mic'd in order just to get the sounds up to the front. Almost none of that marimba sound, vibraphone sound will make it up to the front of the field. Even things like timpani, that bass drum isn't going to have the same type of punch. So you're going to have to mic a whole lot of stuff that you're not really used to miking or pushing that hot in your speaker. So if you don't have the ability to do that, and you put your front ensemble in the back, you're going to be running into balance issues with just trying to have like hard mallets and everything is super tinny and very like overly articulate and stuff when you're trying to play some of that. So just a few considerations there as far as moving the front ensemble to the back. Another consideration that people have is just to think about it more like a WGI wins type of situation where necessarily allow for us to push one button and to have multiple syllables or timed information and stuff like WGI wins. They don't have those types of restrictions. So within a lot of people's shows, being that they're going to have to shorten them down, what a lot of people are really looking at is having something more along the lines of being able to push a button and to have maybe a soundtrack type movie sort of thing going on, and because they're not going to competition. So that's just a few kind of thoughts on what some of the teams and people are sort of looking at that I'm helping design for and stuff. When I play with traditional grip, my left elbow likes to tuck in my side. It doesn't look good from one side. Get exercise tips to fix that. I actually don't find a problem with that at all. For me, whatever sounds good and whatever is efficient for the way that you play is totally fine, right? And I'm referring to JT Drummer. If you can't see the chat, definitely hit that up and things. So when I'm playing, I actually do have a fair amount of movement in my left wrist, especially if I'm pulling back for an accent and things. I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Especially when I'm pulling back for an accent, you'll notice that not only does my wrist turn, it doesn't just stay here and turn around like a center point, right? If I stick out my finger kind of here, it's not just turning around that particular point. Essentially, my hand is rotating not around here. It's rotating somewhere more so around here. So if I do that same kind of turn business around the side, you'll notice that my axis is further back in my hand. I'm still turning my wrist, but my axis isn't here straight through my arm. It's more like it happens here and things. Now, depending on where you're marching and depending on what kind of stuff that your techs want you to do, that will change. So you need to be able to do all of that. If you're just doing it because you don't like the way it looks or whatever, I mean, that can be a consideration. My thing is you want to do what's comfortable for you, and you always want to chase the sound, right? If something looks weird, but you have the control that you want and you have the sound that you want, I would stick with it until otherwise. If your instructor tells you to change something, even if it's for an aesthetic value, go ahead and change it. It's just another way of playing. Every single place that I marched, even some places that was the same from year to year, we had a slightly different technique of how we moved our hands, what amount of arm, what was accepted and what wasn't accepted as far as arm movement, the height of our actual angle over here on the right hand side or whatever. So what I would do is keep it. It's totally fine. There are plenty of people that allow that type of motion who are totally fine with it and who are very successful. But then it's also not wrong to be in a situation that your instructors want you to do a little something different. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have any other things to follow up on that, definitely ask that. If you did want to fix it, right? Let's say if you didn't want to move that, what I would do is have my actual arm just placed against the side of my body, like close. And I would just practice just turning the wrist. Just start back at something like eighth notes or whatever. Don't try to do anything too physically exhausting and things. And then as you get more comfortable with it, kind of release the pressure, almost like it's hanging down, like there's a weight on your shoulder that goes down through your elbow, right? And then just kind of relax it there and stuff. That's the way I would go through. If I had to sign up today for somewhere and they wanted me to not have a whole lot of movement here in my arm, as far as when I'm rotating, I would definitely start with doing too much as far as tightness, just to get my muscles back as far as turning the wrist there. Yeah, so hopefully that helped. It does benefit me that I've had to play under so many different styles, and all of the styles were totally valid. A lot of times we get into the point where we'll see something that's very successful and somebody is currently winning in maybe WGI or DCI, and we attribute the way that they're playing to their success, when honestly it's a whole lot of different things that come with that. So sort of like right now, Paul Rennick's groups are doing very well in DCI, which stands for Drum Corps International. So his groups are doing very well. There's a lot of people who will look at maybe some other styles that are a little bit different than his, or maybe some other writing styles, and they say that those things are all of a sudden wrong, when they're definitely in the conversation still. So I don't necessarily find that to be like a detriment. Somebody is currently doing very well because he's built up very specific abilities for his players at the colleges that he's gone to, and he has a bunch of players who've graduated from his groups and who are now teaching. So he has a nice kind of circular farm mill happening and things. So There's a lot of styles that work and things. I haven't seen too many that absolutely don't work. Let me say it like that. I don't understand my English, but I want to try you feeling like your style. Use a translator to write it down. Oh, okay. Okay. He says he's having a little bit of problem with English. I'm not exactly sure how to take a doubt with you about the execution of some notes. Maybe you're asking about some of your playing and things. If you do have some, maybe a question, about your playing, the easiest way is just to send me a video. My I think my email is actually on uh, somewhere on my YouTube page, like in my about section or something like that. And you can just send me a link to your video. And a lot of times, if you want me to have comments about it or something, I can definitely send you some comments and things. Mark is little, preparing for my first album. Woo, woo, woo. Only problem, it's mostly mixing. Can you give me some tips about getting a better mix? Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So first of all, if you do want to check out my album, it's about a bunch of different topics. I'm not necessarily like a trap artist. I guess you can kind of consider me to be a little bit of an old school kind of hip hop. There's some singing and stuff in there, but my artist name has nothing to do with drumming really is Morning Hawk. You can go check it out. I think I released the album, last year around sometime. I'm still going to be doing a few different music videos and things, but about the mixing, what I normally do is definitely make sure that your levels are good from the bottom up. So you set your something like your kick drum or whatever sort of 808s or synth bass that you have, and then that needs to not be peaking. So like -8 or something like that. Sometimes for me, it's -10. I don't mix at super hot levels, so I turn it down, and I'll normally do my first mix in my headphones. And then just because I have kids and things, and it can't be too loud around here. And then what I end up doing is I have a set of a few different monitors, right? And all a monitor is just a studio speaker that's a little bit flatter or not as boosted or hyped as consumer speakers, right? So they give you a little bit more of a true picture of what you're mixing. They don't really sound good per se because they don't add bass or they don't add that sparkly kind of sheen up top, but they're good for just revealing the actual true sound that you're mixing and things. So with me, when I mix stuff, I try to make sure that my low end is correct. I don't need a whole lot of like 20 hertz in every single instrument. Even for stuff like my voice, I'll end up high passing it or getting rid of all of the low stuff, even as much as 80, 90, 100 sometimes. I'm very specific about distortion and saturation. So I do push things like my compression. I do push them pretty hard. And instead of it just makes it sound way more natural, and it allows whatever the source is to breathe a little bit and stuff. My third thing for that is I use reference tracks. So if there's a track that I really like the way that the bass sounds, I'll have that in my final kind of stream. So once I kind of print or bounce my track out, I'll go through and hear like, oh, does my bass hit as hard as this? Is it too much bass compared to the voice? How do my hi-hat sound? Is it too crispy? Did I go too far with it? Do I need to tuck it down or whatever? So a lot of times I'll find myself pushing and pulling based off of a few different kind of reference tracks. So hopefully that helped with that business. Marcus, send me your link to your stuff. I would love to hear your album and things. And if I have any mixed notes, I'll definitely hit you up. Even for me, I have people whose ears I trust, and I have people who I trust their taste of how they mix their sound. So I'll send my stuff to some of them, and then they'll kind of get back to me with some mixed notes and things. But definitely get multiple opinions and listen on multiple speakers, multiple headphones, and compare it with other stuff in your playlist and things. From Athens, nice and interesting job. Oh, thanks, man. I can't really say that name. And things with a K. Cool. contest, right? Isaac, what's up, man? Cool, 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 and things. So basically, when it comes to music and sound, a lot of it is connected for me. The same things that I think about when it comes to mixing pop or hip hop or rock is the same way that I'll mix a group if I'm sitting in front of them in the stands, if I'm listening to a marching band, if I'm listening to whatever. I'm thinking about it in low end information, mid information, and high end information as far as frequencies and how those things bounce off one another and how they mix with one another. Um, where does that come from? It's just you have to have, just like a chef has different pairings of food, and they know how much salt to add, they know how much pepper to add, how long to cook that meat, for it to be the right amount of tender, right? To where it's just not immediately falling apart. It has a little texture to it, but it's also not like chewy, right? So the same type of training that people will go through for experience when it comes to food, or when it comes to any other type of art form, it's the same thing that you have to kind of put yourself through. And the way that you get to that is just through listening to a lot of music. If you ever get a chance to have commentary with somebody who knows what they're talking about, and you're listening to a group and they're making tweaks or changes, that's always the best deal. Listening to judge tapes is definitely a good one. I know there's a few tapes from Blue Devils. There's a few tapes from Broken City, maybe Santa Clara, that are out there that I've heard. And you can just hear what the judges are telling them. In cases like that, that's more so inspirational, because the groups are so good. If you can ever find just a lot of high school tapes or tapes that are just from maybe some of the groups that aren't necessarily going to make it in the top 12, for some of the different circuits that are around, you can learn the most off of those, because you can hear the critiques that the judges are saying to them, or you can hear what the general effect judges are saying and things of that nature. So definitely check those out. Marcus Little says, thanks for the tips. Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to hearing your stuff. I listen to so much music, and it's always, I think, a goal for me, just to go through and hear as many different styles as possible, and to hear what people in their own genre have to say about some of their best people. So I say it to a lot of my students a lot of times, just to go through the Grammy list, see who won the Grammys in every single category, and just listen to the song once. I mean, even if you don't like metal at all, just listen to see what the metal people voted as the top of their genre. And you only really have to listen to it once. If you happen to like it a little bit, go through and maybe listen to some of the other people that got nominated or whatever. But really, it's just training your ear to get used to different sounds, different types of harmonies and textures and things of that nature. So I find that to be very important, to give yourself that ear training and not just only listen to the songs that are in the genre that you're comfortable with. And things. So another thing, by the way, speaking of the Grammys, hopefully, Marcus Little, being that you're putting out your own projects, really try to push those things, and eventually see if you can become a voting member in the Academy and things. There's a lot of people who are eligible and really don't know that they're eligible. So definitely go look up the different rules and things, and have a say so in the type of stuff that you want to do and whatnot. So hopefully today, guys, it's right around 6:00 Eastern time here in Georgia and stuff. I live a little bit around Atlanta, a place called Kennesaw in Cobb County. But hopefully I'll be putting out a video as early as tonight or maybe tomorrow. I'll probably have another one out on Wednesday. A lot of you guys have seen the Trash series. So there'll be another one coming out on Saturday. If you have any suggestion for videos or things that you would like to see, definitely hit me up. It does take me actually a little bit. I know some people are going to say, we want to chop out video. Oh, we want to chop out video. But it does take me a little bit to kind of, number one, get my hands to the point where I can, like, for real, offer some good stuff. Once again, for money, I mainly play drum sets. So I don't do a whole lot of just chopping out every single day with the big sticks and whatnot. So I do have to get my hands up just a little bit. Once they start, they're pretty good. But so yeah, the chop out videos do take a little bit because the hands, and then number two, it takes a certain amount of time to just film it. And then I go back and do the track afterwards. I think it was somewhere, I'm not sure if it was Facebook or Instagram, that I posted a little bit of a behind the scenes type thing as to how I make the tracks for my videos and things. Maybe at a certain point, I'll just make kind of an exhaustive kind of video showing every single step of the behind the scenes type thing. I might release that to my Patreon. So definitely hit that up if you want to see some behind the scenes kind of stuff. And if you are on my Patreon page, make sure you just request it and I can make it happen for you guys. Speaking of that, I am very thankful for them. I have a nice small little army that's really helping me out there and things. The good part about all of that is that they get all of the MP3s or waves and all of the PDFs and stuff, and they get to ask questions and I can respond to them whenever they want and things. Anyways, hey guys, so thank you for your questions. Thank you for the chit chatting. If you have any other questions, you can leave them in the comments below, even after this video. And as always, oh wait, what social media am I on? Ooh, so as far as my actual drumming stuff, I do Instagram. I'm at Marcus Hawkins Music. As far as corporate stuff, I'm at Marcus Hawkins Media. Instagram is a place that I'm at on all of the different things. I have my regular basic page on Facebook, but it's not just purely, I guess, music related stuff. So that's mainly where I'm at and things. Anyways, I appreciate y'all's questions and stuff, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing a few more live streams. I'm kind of going through, and see you guys in the next video.